Hello, my loves. Okay, this is part 2 of our 5-day series. It's 5 cases in 5 days, and it's 5 disturbing unsolved mysteries in North Dakota that will leave you truly baffled. And we are on case number 2. It involves a man named Russell Turcotte. This mystery unfolded on July 12, 2002 in Grand Forks. 19-year-old Russell Turcotte was last heard from when he called his mother asking for money for a bus ride home. He never actually made it home that day, or the next, or any day after that. He went missing for nearly 4 months until his naked body was found 100 miles away from Devil's Lake. A farmer looking for a few stray cattle found it in a tree row covered in leaves and frost. Not much else is known besides that. The autopsy information is being kept fairly secretive, and all that is known is that Turcotte died from blunt force trauma to the back of the head. There are very few leads, and the case remains unsolved to this day. So this happened in 2002. We're in 2023. This is a 21-year-old case, still unsolved to this day. Now, I'm going to dig a little bit deeper into it. Let's get into it. All right, so I found a little bit more information. We're going to get into it. 21 years later, Russell Turcotte case remains unsolved. Trent Haberstroh literally stumbled on the body of 19-year-old Russell Turcotte between rows of trees in a remote site northwest of Devil's Lake. He was looking for stray cows when he stumbled upon the body. 21 years ago, Trent Haberstroh stumbled upon the body, while looking for stray cows. The violent murder of Turcotte, 19, when he last was seen alive in Grand Forks, remains unsolved with no sign that it will ever be solved. His mother, Linda Hansen, was the last person he knew who talked with him, and she still holds out hope. It's been hard. It never goes away. It never ever goes away, she said Sunday from her home in Wolf Point, Montana. I can't help but feel bad for all those other people out there who have cases unsolved. I know there are quite a few in North Dakota. I hurt for them too. He called her at about 11 p.m. July 13th, 2002 from the Simonson's truck stop at U.S. Highway 2 and Interstate 29 in Grand Forks. He was hitchhiking home to Wolf Point. He spent the previous night with friends in Fargo he met at the hippie-themed Rainbow Gathering in Ottawa National Forest in Michigan. Hansen promised to wire him $100 the next. Hansen is the mother. Promised to wire him $100 the next morning so he could get home faster for a wedding, but he never picked up the money. Despite some searching in the Grand Forks area, nothing was found until Haberstroh happened upon Russell's nude body November 5th. It was a half-mile north of Highway 2, just off a gravel road in the wide tree belt, about 11 miles northwest of Devil's Lake, or about 100 miles northwest of that truck stop. Hansen told Haberstroh later the odd circumstance seemed guided by a higher power. Haberstroh farms and raises cattle 60 miles north of the site, north of Hansborough, North Dakota, where his fences run along Canada. The only reason he was wandering around on foot at that location was to catch 2 of his cows, which had fallen out of his trailer at 60 miles per hour on the Highway 2 the day before and somehow survived and wandered off. That's incredible in itself. Chasing them down, he was stepping over what he thought was maybe a fallen branch, only to see the long, thin, bare legs of Russell's face-down body. It was so covered with grass, it had been there for a long time, Haberstroh said last week. The grass was wilting at that time, and the leaves were off all the trees and had fallen onto the body. What agency is in charge, you ask? From the beginning, she felt like her family got the runaround from law enforcement, with no agency seeming to take responsibility for the obvious crime, Hansen says. State Highway Patrol troopers were first on the scene, and Grand Forks Police, the Ramsey County Sheriff's Department, and the State Bureau of Criminal Investigation all became involved. To me, it seemed there was really no one entirely that was given jurisdiction, Hansen said. Her main contact was with a BCI agent, Mark McNamee, early on, but since he died in March 2008, she hasn't heard from anyone, Hansen said. Liz Brocker, spokeswoman for the BCI, said Friday the agency has no comment and that it's a Grand Forks Police Department case since that was the original jurisdiction. Although the BCI has a list of several cold cases on its website, including a murder from 2007, unless a local law enforcement agency refers a case to BCI, it doesn't go on such a list, Brocker said. On Friday, Grand Forks Police Chief John Packett said, "We still consider it an active case and we still have people assigned to it. As information becomes available, it's kind of a cooperative effort between our department and the BCI." Not long ago, he was briefed on the case by his investigators, Packett said. "I don't believe there are any suspects currently under consideration at this time, but I can certainly give the family assurance we still consider it an active case, an important case, and we are working on it as time and money permits." While he was last seen in Grand Forks, Russell's body was found 100 miles northwest of Grand Forks in Ramsey County. That's where Hansen said a BCI agent said a substantial amount of evidence was found and bagged. Ramsey County Sheriff Steve Nelson says it's an open investigation for his agency as well, but there hasn't been the progress everyone would like to see, he said. We have been talking in the last few months, and we have revisited it and reviewed some lead events. Nelson said Friday, "We are trying to formulate a new plan and to move forward and conclude the investigation to solve this case." Nelson emphasized there is information law enforcement cannot reveal because it might hurt the investigation. That's one of the frustrating things. You can't give out too much, Nelson said. Blunt force trauma. Hansen said she kind of gave up on asking law enforcement for answers. "I didn't think anyone from law enforcement has ever treated me very courteously other than Mr. McNamee. He would call me intermittently. He just tried to put more of a human element to it." Even McNamee told her little about the case, including whether there was DNA evidence. "They would never tell me that outright," Hansen said. "The only thing they ever did on DNA, they had his dad and I go in and give blood tests to determine DNA. And I know at one point they looked at a car, the trunk of a car. Investigators would not give the family autopsy information," she said. "All she learned of his cause of death, was there was blunt force trauma to the back of his head," Hansen said. "Ever since seeing how lonely the site is, she's figured it was someone who knew the area." I would have to agree with that. She gathered that investigators at one point were looking at someone from Cando, North Dakota, who was incarcerated for another crime, Hansen said, which to me adds to the feeling that it was somebody from the area. Cando is about 20 miles north and west of the site where the body was found. "I chose to put this in God's hands. Russell, as is his father, Bill Turcotte, was a member of the Turtle Mountain Band of Ojibwe, based in Belcourt, North Dakota." I apologize if I butchered that. I'm not good with words like that. "Hansen is a member of the Fort Peck, Montana tribe of Sioux. Assiniboine Sioux. I can't read that. Bill Turcotte, who lives in Chinook, Montana, has several times wondered publicly if Russell's ethnic background was a reason for lack of interest in the investigation, a claim law enforcement officials have denied." See, and I can see why they think that, because, I mean, look at all the indigenous people that go missing and their case isn't even brought to light. They don't get, front page of the newspaper. They don't get on local news and things like that. So I could definitely see why they thought that. Early on, Hansen, Bill Turcotte, and their older sons, Michael and Jacob, pressed authorities about the case, visiting North Dakota, organizing searches. In 2005, Hansen testified before a legislative committee in Bismarck on a bill to improve cooperation between local, state, and federal agencies in solving crimes. Not so much anymore. That is something that definitely needs to be done. "I could have pushed them and made it my life's work, but it would have taken me down emotionally, so I chose to put it in God's hands," Hansen said Sunday. She's banking on God leading someone to come forward with answers, not law enforcement cracking the case, Hansen says. "I went through a period of being angry at God the Creator for not watching out for him more," Hansen said, "but I guess it just brought it full circle to me. that in a sense. He was there in another way. Yes, he wasn't there to save him from death, but maybe he saved him by being there with him at the time of his death and taking him over so he wasn't alone. Let me see here. Hansen says there are many more little Russells. He has many people named after him. I have a grandson named after him and a couple friends named their sons after him, so he lives on in different ways. Back in 2003, she and Russell's father, Bill, asked to meet with Haberstroh and his wife in Devil's Lake in 2003. They bought them dinner and they talked. We gave him a blanket, which is our way, Hansen said, because we felt he was sent there for a reason, to find him and help us bring him home. Haberstroh said he knows a little of what they are going through still. We lost a daughter, Gretchen, in a car accident in 1995 when she was 15, Haberstroh said. I feel good that I was there to help the family. Today is another anniversary for Hansen. In fact, it's a wedding anniversary tomorrow, which was actually back in November of 2004. Excuse me. I had to replace that milestone of Russell's body found with something happy, she said. She has had to learn to live without Russell by focusing on the rest of her family, but still looks for justice for him. Let me turn this a little bit. He was a good person. I know it would hurt him to no end to know that the person who hurt him went out and hurt someone else. I just pray that sooner or later this person is brought forward, and I just pray this person has not hurt anyone else. And this is copyright 2012 Grand Forks Herald. I think the Herald is the paper. So this is a really, really sad case because Russell Turcotte, first of all, was only 19 years old, and he attended a festival. They said Rainbow Festival, so I'm wondering if there was maybe something sexual, a sexuality thing, maybe if he was gay or something like that. Don't quote me, I'm not saying he was gay, I'm just saying he attended a rainbow festival, and that's usually what that is for the LGBTQ community. So I wonder if it was a hate crime. He was 19 years old, like I said. I know they had a suspect at one time, but I can't seem to find the name of the person now. Let me see. Yeah, this is just a sad case. There's not a whole lot of evidence for anything. Obviously, we know the cause of death was blunt force trauma to the back of the head, which, I mean, that just says murder right there. He was murdered. Whatever details that they have from the case, they can't even really release it because it could hurt the case. So it's like nobody really knows anything, and due to that, we can't really formulate an idea of what could have happened. So it's really sad. I think this might be one of the cases, the unsolved mystery cases in North Dakota, that may actually never be solved, and it's really sad. My condolences to the family. God rest Russell, and I hope that I still hope. I mean, always hold out hope that something comes their way and lets them know what happened, so they can have some sort of closure. You just need that. I do like the fact that the mom is, kind of moving on. I'm sure she'll never forget. She's always going to have that hole in her heart where her son was, but she has other kids to focus on, and I'm glad she's able to move forward a little bit. So yeah, let me know what you think about the case. If you know anything else on it, let me know in the comments. It's just kind of crazy to me. That one is like totally up in the air. You're just like, what the fuck? Like, what happened to this kid? He attended a festival and then wanted to come home, and he never made it to pick up the money to get home. So he ran into somebody who was bad news. Let's just say that. Maybe somebody from the festival. It's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be so wrong, or I could be right. Very right. Okay, so that was day 2, case 2 of our 5-day series of the disturbing unsolved mysteries in North Dakota that will leave you truly baffled. And the case of Russell Turcotte is definitely one of those that leaves me completely baffled. Like, I'm just like, what? Like, what happened? This was 21 years ago, and nothing has come to light yet. Rest his soul. Okay, tomorrow we'll do part 3. So I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night. I love you all.